Chapter 12, Combat Log, in which we get told what the mobs do to each other. It would be nice if we could see what happened to cause hit points to drop. One letter standing next to another letter doesn't say a lot about that. Though we could make the letters blink and flash and change color and even cycle the letters, but still, what I'm hinting at is that it would be nice to show messages, to have some sort of message log. We will not show the entire log on screen all the time, it would obscure the map. But we could show the latest message, and possibly have a player action to temporarily bring up the rest of the log. The contents of the log messages would be things like: you find 27 coppers, the imp drops a wand, the orc quaffs a potion, the orc looks stronger, the worms multiply, you hit the orc for 7 damage, the orc poisons you, you sense the dagger might be cursed, you feel weaker. On first thought, we might suggest to just show the latest item in the message log. But if we think for a bit, the group of NPCs may cause multiple log-worthy events during a single round, so we may need to display several events. To avoid flooding our screen, we could display those messages one by one, in order, with a number indicating how many still remain. We could prompt the user to press a key to see each next event. We need only do so for multiple messages. The last message in each batch could be displayed directly. An alternate design idea: you could also display the full set of monster messages as a single list newsflash during each round, but that approach might again cover and obscure the playing map it relates to. Our next first thought might be to build this complex logging logic directly into game screen. Our second thought is to instead make a separate more screen, whose job it is to display multiple messages. Each time a key is pressed on the more screen, the just shown message is discarded, and it proceeds to display the next message. Once the second last message has finished displaying, the more screen is removed again, and we return to the game screen, which takes care of displaying the remaining message. For all this to work, the message log must be split into a to-display queue and a permanent log archive. The more screen will work off the display queue. The NPC turns method must help by activating the more screen whenever the queue holds more than one message. We must ensure single messages are only displayed once, and that messages triggered by the player are correctly included. We handle cleanup after single messages by doing a clear queue whenever an input event arrives for the past player turn. This also satisfies that player-triggered messages will survive and be included as they happen after that point. A model to hold the log. As seen other times, we need 2 parts: a model to hold the messages we trigger and want to show, and some GUI to show those messages. Let's take care of the model first. We'll have a method, message, to submit messages, and properties archive and queue to hold it all. So, O2 model 12 message log looks like this. What is all that? Well, we have 2 containers, the archive and the queue. Archive is an archive of all we have logged. Later, we can then let the player display all older messages. In the middle of a fight, which is going badly, he may want to inspect the log to see exactly what attacks the monsters have used so far. Queue holds the messages still to be displayed. At any point, we'll display its top message, and we will remove it with dequeue once finished displaying it. Queued messages lets us check if we have more than one message queued, which triggers the queue display mechanism, the more screen. Clear queue gets rid of any final message after display during normal play. We could have handled clear queue indirectly with dequeue. Instead, we have named it to make our design and intention explicit. As we put the log into the game model, we'll also add a message utility helper method on game and game interface, which forwards to message log. Now clone 08 game model 0 into 12 game model 1 and rename it from game 1 game 0 to game 1. And to game IF, add message and log. To fix up game 0 so it still compiles with a new game interface, you can add a shim where you just assign an empty log and do an empty implementation of message. To get our updated game 1 in play, we must clone builder2b to 12 builder2c and change game 0 to game 1 in the makeGame method. Then in hit command.execute and health adjust.mobdice, we change the console log lines to this.game.message and game.message. With this, our event messages are forwarded to the game message log. However, we are still logging it to console. So far it does not show up in our GUI. We must display the log somehow. Once NPC turns in base screen has finished with the NPCs, we want it to display the more screen whenever necessary. This involves creating a more screen, but a kink in TypeScript makes that tricky, because more screen is derived from base screen. Base screen has difficulty making more screens. You need a base screen to define a more screen, but now you also need a more screen to define a base screen. We can evade that by letting our trusty screen maker provide the more screen. So to 06 screen maker if, we add the method more, then an implementation for it in ScreenMaker2 fixed that returns the more screen. And in the same way, you can add shims to fix up ScreenMaker0 fixed and ScreenMaker1 dynamic like this, where you just return dummy screen because they won't be using a more screen. With this, we can now modify base screen so that NPC turns will call handle messages at the bottom, and handle messages looks like this. The display of last queued message must happen in basescreen.draw and drawMap. In basescreen.draw, we will at the end call drawMap render message, which looks like this. Notice we use the helper extend to force the log line to fill the entire width. This ensures we clear the earlier line contents. As you can see, it's the same render message call that draws queued messages for both the more screen as well as for the normal game screen. The main difference is that inside more screen, it's the number larger than 1 case that is drawn. We need one final adjustment. Game screen.player key turn must have this clause added to clear the queue. This ensures that any single queued message is displayed exactly once and that it disappears next time we receive any input from the player. Now we can make an entry point so we can run it. The index12 log is this. Avoiding too many log messages. We need to reduce messages to only those concerning the player. Otherwise we would get 84 messages regarding 84 monsters bumbling about for every turn. We'll handle it in the following changes. In hit command, the message method will now be conditioned, where it tests if it concerns the player one way or the other. Similarly, in health adjust, in damage, we do a similar check. And then, this is a balance to keep. We'd still like to tell the player about 2 mobs strengthening each other, or a mob doing something that will later cause trouble. The Orkwof's potion of supreme power. If you now run index12 log, combat events should now appear at the top of the screen while you play. We can try to playtest the game again. Hopefully, you should get a better indication of what is happening during combat. The log archive. Apart from showing the player event messages as they happen, we can also let him see historical log of events that happened with trivial effort. We just introduce a screen that renders a list of recent log messages. The player can activate this view with the Q key. The log archive can prove useful in battle if the player suddenly realizes the fight is going much worse than he was prepared for. Often the recent log will reveal hints of what went wrong, maybe one of the enemies hitting much harder than expected, or being unexpectedly good at avoiding damage, or using an unexpected attack, or a hidden enemy casting some sort of attack. So behold, 12 log screen looks like this. It pops as soon as you press a key. For now, we only show the latest messages. One might consider to let the player browse back through the entire archive. The lock screen fits into parse key command in parse player, which we change like this. You should now be able to activate a log archive by pressing the Q key.